Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today I am going to be doing a custom paint work on my Star Wars Black Series Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi. Now, as you can see right here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be particularly focusing my efforts on the Luke Skywalker head. Now, let's take a closer look at it. So, I've already taken off the head by using a hair dryer, and I superheated up the head all around until it finally got malleable enough for me to pull off. Now, when you do that, I do want to caution you, do not be pulling too much on the hair piece, because it is a two-part head piece, and if you were to use too much pressure, you could actually rip his hair off and you would have a bald Luke instead. So anyways, let's just continue. And what I want to do is I want to focus my efforts on the hair on Luke Skywalker's head. Now, this figure itself is pretty well done, and there's only one thing I wasn't really happy with, and it's the hair color on him. Now, in the film, it shows that Luke Skywalker's hair is more of a very dark brown, or if not, like a dirty blonde hair with some gray highlights here and there and some whiteness on his beard. And in this particular figure, you only see that most of it is all gray with some white highlights, and it's not particularly accurate to the movie. Even the eyebrows are not as accurate. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you my method of what I do to change the hair and paint the hair to make it look more movie accurate. So hopefully in this tutorial or in this video, you guys get a peek in how I do this stuff, and perhaps you might want to try it yourself. So let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure I can actually hold this head and not actually touch it with my hands while I'm painting, so I don't make any paint smears or whatsoever. So what I have here is just a stick, and it can be anything that you have, with a little bit of the sticky tack that you use for posters. And I'm just going to stick this in the bottom of it like that, and it'll just hold it, so that way I can get a good look around his hair, even into the bottom of it. As you can see, oh, if you can't see, there you go. You can see that I could even paint inward inside. Sorry about the focus. And that way I get a really good reach in certain areas to paint the head. So yeah, that's one of the things you want to make sure you have this, or have something to hold the head, so you don't actually accidentally hold it too much and paint certain areas that you don't want to paint with your fingers. Now that I have the head on a stick, in order for me to paint it, what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be painting the base color of the hair. Now, the paint that I am going to be using is Model Masters paint, and it's dark tan colored. Now, dark tan color will actually come out a little lighter once I start painting it, but it'll darken up once it dries up. But I find the dark tan is actually the closest to the actual hair color that he used to have, which is sort of like the dirty blonde, or at least it's gonna not look like that immediately, but over time, once I add other stuff to it, you will see that it'll start to look a little bit better. So let's start working on it, and then I'm going to be using this small little brush just to add the paint on there. So I've already added some paint in some area right here, and all I'm going to do now is slowly add the paint on and spread it all over the place. And I'm going to just use all the paints right now and just get the areas that I'm easily able to reach, and the areas that I'm not able to reach too well, which is like inside the beard area right here and underneath the forehead. I'm going to use a much more finer detailed brush to get into that area. So all you're doing really is just getting a coat in here all over the place, and I'm thinking it's looking a little bit pretty good, not too bad. Now, as you can see, I've already painted all of his hair on top, and as you look around, it's starting to look really good. As it dries, as I said, it starts to get a little darker, but I think it's starting to look more accurate to what his hair looked like in the film. Now I'm going to focus my efforts on the beard around this area, and I'm going to see if I can grab it, and anywhere that I need to get detailed wise, I will use a different brush, but for now let's just get most of it off. If you're not sure when you're doing this and you're a little worried, just do it very slowly at a time. Don't put too much paint on, just slowly get there, because you don't want to make the mistake and regret it later on. But this is gonna look pretty good. Now, as you can see, some of the details right here, like the mustache and some of the edges of the beard, I wasn't able to get, and even the eyebrows and inside right here of his forehead, I have not painted, because that's a very difficult area to paint. So in order to do that, I'm going to be using a very, very thin brush right here, and this is a spotter brush. So I'm going to be working slowly at this point to get accurately to the areas. So it's going to be hard doing it on camera, but I'm going to do my best to try and do it. So you just want to go slowly, little by little, and get the paint on his facial hair. And as you make your way around the beard, get some areas of the beard at the edge right here, make it look like it's actually growing on somewhere. Same on the other side. Now let's work our way on the inside of the hair by the face. Just slowly paint it. This is one of those times where having patience will pay off if you just do this slowly with time. Right here is the hardest part. I'm afraid I might actually paint the forehead, which is why I shouldn't be using too much paint. That's my mistake right here. So I have to spread that out and hope it doesn't run down to the face. If you can't get all the way inside, don't worry about it, because that's just detail that only certain people will look for. Put a little bit more on the beard, on the mustache. Just go back in some areas and just add more paint. Now to finish this off, I'm going to have to add paint to the eyebrows, because the eyebrows here are still gray. So we're going to go in slowly. And this time, as I said before, you want to actually go in with a little bit of paint as possible and just slowly brush it on. So let's see if I can get that on camera. Let's focus it. Alright, let's do this. May not be able to see it, but it is going on there slowly. I'm not sure you can tell the difference on camera. And as I said before, you just want to slowly just add a little bit. You don't have to add a lot. I think it looks okay. Kind of actually looks like Russell Crowe now. Strange. Now I have allowed the actual paint to dry on his hair and his facial hair and his eyebrows, and as you can see, it's starting to look a lot better. In my mind, it's starting to look a lot more accurate. But what I want to add now is I want to add some more depth to the color, and I want to darken it up in some areas. So in order to do that, I'm going to be doing a brown wash on the hair and some on the beard, but I will leave the eyebrows alone because at least the eyebrows I think look accurate as it can be. So in order to do that, what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using the Citadel shade, Agrax Earthshade. I apologize if I don't pronounce that correctly, but there's other brown washes that you can get. This is just the one that I usually have around, so it's not like a big deal whichever one you want, but this is just what I'm going to be using. So let's just, alright, now that the camera's there, we're going to just slowly just add the wash over it. And the great thing about it is that it's going to go into the deep areas, and it'll just give it a darkerness to the hair and give it some highlights in some areas. And don't worry about adding, or at least I'm not going to worry about adding a little too little or too much. It's just, it's all going to spread around anyways. So, and I think it just makes it much nicer, gives it that dirty Luke look when he goes to see the Thalassarian to get his green milk. Looks pretty cool. Now I'm going to add a little bit on the beard. Just spread it a little bit, just to give it a little bit more color, and for the actual stubble on the hair to pop out more. So I'm going to let this sit and dry for a bit, and then we'll come back, and then we'll just add some white and gray highlights on here, and I think we'll be done. Now I have allowed the brown shading to dry off, and as you can see, it's given it more depth, and it looks like it's a little bit darker in some areas and a little bit lighter in other areas, and that's exactly what I wanted. But now that we have this, I'm going to be working on adding the gray to his, or if not white hair, to his hair, to his head and his beard. So what I'm going to be using is, I'm going to be using the Model Masters Gunship Gray, which is a flat color, and I will be using Vallejo's model color white, and I've already set some aside right here on my palette, or a little plastic area, whatever. And what I'm doing is, it can be any gray, it can be any white, but I'm just mixing them together to get a certain color that I want. I don't need to add too much, but I'm also going to be doing this sort of like a dry brush. So you just want to add a little bit and hope that it picks up a little bit of the paint. And then we're just going to slightly just add some areas of whites to some highlights, and we're just going to add it. Let's see if you can, I'm not sure if you're picking it up, but it is adding some white, which is really nice. So this area is whited, and you can see this area isn't, but it's looking a lot better. So we just want to do that all around. Keep going, just adding this nice white detail. You want to go back a little bit and get some more. Keep mixing just to get it right. Like I said, it's very light dry brushing, so you don't want to go full on hard, just enough that it's actually gonna pick up some areas. Now let's focus on the beard and just add a little bit of it. It's not a lot, but it's enough. See, there we go. Now that we have most of this already painted, I'm going to just focus now on his beard to give him that little area in which in the movie he has like those white little parts in his beard. So let's just go and start adding stuff. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to slowly do it in like a dry brush as best I can, and work my way through. Crap. Let's see. One area. Let's work on the other side quick. Not sure if you can see it. It's starting to look okay a little bit. Kind of messed up a bit, but I mean that happens when you paint. You know, you don't always get it correct on the first try. So you have to just, and it's very difficult to do it on camera. So I'll do my best. So I'm gonna just add some white to his beard a little bit. I think it's starting to look a little bit better. Looks a lot more accurate to the film. So yeah, I think I'm actually pretty happy with the results, but this is the way I wanted it to look, a little bit more movie accurate. And here I have the head sculpt back on the body, and as you can see, it looks so much better now with everything put together. The actual paint came out better than I hoped, and I'm really happy with the results. I'm hoping you guys can see how good it looks. I did go back and I did add an extra brown wash to the hair because I felt that it needed a little bit more darkness in there, and I did do some detail on the more on the beard because it was just hard to tell on camera whether or not I was getting the areas that I wanted to be gray. So overall, guys, I want to say is that I am happy with the results of this, and I am really glad I did it. No regrets whatsoever, and as you can see, it just looks so much better and more accurate to the film and how Luke looked like in The Last Jedi. And yeah, so I want to first off thank you guys for joining me, and if you like this video, please let me know by pressing the like button, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the video below and I will get back to you so I can help you if I can. But overall, this is just great. If you want to try and do it, you know, go ahead and you see how it looks. It's up to you, but really it's just awesome. So thanks again for joining me, and I will catch you guys later.